Coming up, Tzu Chi volunteers in Argentina travel to Misiones to help an indigenous village. In Taiwan, a court made history by awarding state compensation to victims of a dioxin pollution in Tainan. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Dennis Wu. Thank you for joining us. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers in Argentina traveled to a village in Misiones to hold a distribution for its indigenous residents. Due to its proximity to Paraguay and the thick forest that covers its borders, Misiones has become a haven for drug traffickers and smugglers, and thus the entire aid distribution was deemed highly dangerous. Nevertheless, the volunteers completed what they set out to do.
In March of this year, parts of Argentina experienced the worst flooding the country has seen in half a century. To help those living in the indigenous Aldea Tucoa Mary village, Tzu Chi volunteers travel north from the capital of Argentina, Buenos Aires, to reach Misiones province. Arriving separately by plane and bus, the volunteers still held a meeting the night before to go over the next day's winter aid distribution. Having only slept a few hours, the volunteers began their day with Master Zhenyun's teachings. So thankful to see the volunteers once more, the mayor of the city, Capiovi, Mr. Raul, personally drove the volunteers to the village near Paranaiba River. Surrounded by a dense forest, the area is a haven to smugglers and drug traffickers, which is why it is marked as a highly dangerous zone. Children's angelic voices welcome the volunteers' arrival. Seeing how little the recipients were wearing in the rainy weather, the volunteers are even more anxious to help.
Sorry we arrived so late. The journey was long and arduous, but we finally made it. The rain could not stop us.
The 9 big boxes filled with blankets, clothes, shoes, and stationery are the gifts the recipients have been waiting for.
Thank you, volunteers, for the relief items to help our villagers. I hope to see you more frequently from now on.
Looking forward to the next visit, the volunteers know this is only the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
As the 2015 UN Climate Change Conference enters its second week in Paris, an exhibition called Solution COP21 is being held at the Grand Palais, showcasing climate change solutions worldwide. We now see how exhibitors from Taiwan promote the country's conservation efforts.
With the 2015 UN Climate Change Conference ongoing in Paris, an exhibition called Solution COP21 is being held at Grand Palace for the public to learn more about products and innovations from all around the world designed to fight climate change.
In terms of raising public awareness on climate change, pamphlets filled with statistics no longer work. Exhibitors are now using consumer electronics that will help the public learn about climate change.
Combining technology with green concepts, the exhibitors want the public to know that leading an eco-friendly lifestyle can be simple.
I think it's good to have game like that because it's fun, so it's a nice way to learn about climate change by playing with a little game.
One of the exhibitors from Taiwan, ITRI, is showcasing sportswear made from PET bottles and caps made with coffee grounds.
We've incorporated information about Taiwan's conservation efforts into our games, so people can understand what contributions Taiwan has made through playing games.
With interactive games and detailed explanations, the exhibitors showcase how people in Taiwan have reused recyclable materials in hopes of inspiring more people to commit to safeguarding the planet Earth.
Among the Taiwanese exhibitors at the Solution COP21 exhibition in Paris is Delta Group, an electronic and energy management company. The company's representatives have been actively participating in side events at the UN conference, sharing with the world its green building designs and climate change strategies.
As a side event of the 2015 UN Climate Change Conference, a climate change solution exhibition is being held at the Grand Palace, at which Taiwan's Delta Group showcases its energy-saving strategies.
它的光进来留住的是漂亮的，但是热呢被挡掉了，因为它那个钢片可以把热挡掉。
At its booth, Delta Group shares with the world its green building designs and measures to reduce carbon emissions. The Taiwanese exhibitor also attracts the public attention with its 3D circular projection called Surround Cinema. The founder of Delta Group, Bruce Chan, has been implementing measures to mitigate the impact of global warming for an important reason.
It has an impact on the survival of mankind. I think it is more important than anything else. If global warming continues to worsen, by the end of this century, humans will not be able to sustain themselves because of natural disasters.
To mitigate the disastrous results of global warming, Bruce Chan calls on more corporations to commit to corporate social responsibility and hopes to see concrete changes achieved during this climate change conference.
Everyone has to join in the effort. In the past, many participants of UN climate summits called on others to make changes instead of committing themselves. It is difficult to solve problems that way. The whole world has to take action, especially some of the leading countries, who are the top carbon emitters. Climate change affects everyone no matter where they are in the world. We now go to Williams, Arizona in the United States to see how residents are coping with the ongoing drought.
When we first came out, we were on our honeymoon. It was like, what's with all the tanks? And then it dawned on me one day, the guy's got water in the back of that. And we found out that everybody holds water. Right now I have a 1,000-gallon underground tank at my house for culinary water, which means I haul 265 gallons of water every 6 days to keep the level over 500 gallons. Because it's amazing how fast you go through water. Even when you try, I mean, everything in our house saves water. Low flow toilets, low flow shower heads. We're about 1 mile outside of the city limits of Williams, Arizona. Gateway to the Grand Canyon, they like to say. They had one of their main wells go down a year ago, and they're now drilling a new well. They think that maybe they pumped too much water. They were sucking in as much water as they could, and everything around the well just collapsed on it. Last week they voted to double the price of water for commercial operations, which, I mean, on a hotel or something, that's $100,000 more a year out of somebody's pocket. And I usually sit on the tailgate to try to get that last couple of gallons out of the back. I'm still not even full. I could go to the store again and get another 250 gallons. But that's an hour's work. It's not fun. You have to plan your days off around going to get water.
Master Zheng Yan arrived in Tainan on the last day of her tour around Taiwan, where Tzu Chi volunteers invited the principals of the 9 schools, which Tzu Chi is rebuilding, to meet with the master. The volunteers also put on a performance at the year-end ceremony, where the master presented blessing and wisdom red envelopes to all to convey her blessings.
Master Zheng Yan came to Tainan today, as the 9 local schools that are being rebuilt by Tzu Chi are incorporating the charity's principles into their curriculums. The school's principal have come to meet with the master and also join the year-end ceremony.
我想让我们的孩子
I want my students to build up sound minds, personalities, and morality. I feel the teaching of Jinsi aphorisms at school can help my students build up morality.
The new Project Hope, launched last year, aimed to provide students in these schools with a safer learning environment, which will also benefit their communities.
生命、身体会受伤，迄是一世人呢会遗憾呐。所以师父把这款的工程呢叫做减灾希望工程，因为呢学校呢已经有围炉啦，咱是为咱的地方的囡仔的安全，所以咱去甲援建，希望讲万一有灾难，咱的囡仔伫内底呢，咱的子孙孙伫内底，咱免烦恼。
Local Tzu Chi volunteers perform a section on the musical adaptation of the Sutra of Innumerable Meaning at the ceremony, hoping all will be inspired to take action in the new year.
In getting more people to do good deeds in Australia, the Mayor of Ipswich, Paul Pizzazale, invited 8 recipients of a recent year-end food distribution to join him in helping those less fortunate, especially children who have been caught up in the war in Syria. Meanwhile, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines have begun packaging gifts and assembling red envelopes of blessing and wisdom in preparation for their upcoming year-end ceremony.
In preparation of the upcoming year-end blessing ceremony in the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers and locals gathered to assemble gift packs and red envelopes of blessing and wisdom. This event is also the perfect opportunity to teach youngsters about the joy of giving.
I am very grateful my son could join us and help pack and assemble items to be given at the year-end blessing ceremony.
Nakita ko po kasi sa mga mama at papa ko na pagtulong sa mga tao.
I think it's great to help others, so I want to learn more about how I can contribute my assistance. I came here to help in hopes of learning something from the volunteers.
The volunteers are preparing some 7,000 gifts and blessing and wisdom red envelopes and hopes that these small gestures will fill the recipients' hearts with warmth to last them throughout the new year. Meanwhile, traveling southward to Ipswich, Australia, at Tzu Chi's last food distribution of the year, the mayor, Paul Pizzazale, explained the origin of Tzu Chi's charity funds. Upon hearing how they too can help Syrian refugees, many of the aid recipients opened their wallets to donate to Tzu Chi's bamboo coin bank.
We need hold hand to let our world peace. Too much war. We don't want war. We need peace. So we can together do the good thing.
As the aid recipients pick up their relief items, they also adopt a bamboo coin bank to pay the love forward.
Due to analyzing spondylitis, Yang Xiaodong of Xiamen, China, was ridiculed as a 12-year-old. Hurt, he retreated into his own world by curling up into a fetal position for 19 years, which caused his spine to warp by 130 degrees and 90 degrees inward for his hip joint. We now recount how the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan helped Xiaodong stand tall and walk again.
Riding on his bicycle, Yang Xiaodong has been waiting to take the visiting Tzu Chi volunteers back to his home. Taking Dr. Chen Yinghe on his bike is something that Xiaodong couldn't do before.
When he was 12, he began to complain about joint pains. We saw several doctors to no avail. He had to drop out of 8th grade because people said he was a cripple. He locked himself up and didn't want to see anyone.
Because of ankylosing spondylitis and constantly holding himself in a fetal position, Xiaodong's spine and hip joint became warped by some 200 degrees total. After the deputy mayor of Xiamen, Pan Shijie, learned of his situation in 2013, Xiaodong was introduced to Tzu Chi, and with the help of a local charity, he was able to undergo treatment at the Hualien City Hospital.
关节等于说都缩到这个骨盆，缩到
His hip joint has contracted into his pelvis. Under this circumstance, we cannot operate on him. We aim to bend his hip joint back by 60 degrees and his spine by at least 100 degrees.
In just 5 months, Xiaodong underwent 5 orthopedic surgeries on his hip joint and spine. At 6 months of painstaking physical therapy, Xiaodong was finally able to return home standing tall.
不用走了。累筋累啊对不？感冒姐。
Having returned home for 2 years, Xiaodong never relented on his physical therapies, as he hopes to recover what he had lost in the past 19 years. At the end of last month, Dr. Chen was once again reunited with Xiaodong and immediately gave him a checkup.
Through surgery, I was able to straighten out this section. However, the damage has been done. In my experience, it won't get any worse than this, so don't worry.
Xiaodong first fell ill at 12 years old and remained curled up for 19 years. Thanks to local philanthropists and Taiwan's Tzu Chi Foundation, Xiaodong can now stand tall once more and is working hard to win back his life.
未来比较打算就是能够找个工作了，娶个老婆，生个孩子。
A court ruling in Taiwan on Tuesday made history in the country, as it was the first state compensation awarded by the judicial system to victims of a dioxin pollution. A class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of 347 residents of Tainan who have fallen ill due to toxins released by CPC's now defunct Ansun plant. Both the Ministry of Economic Affairs and CPC have been ordered to pay the victims about $5.25 million in compensation. Helping a blind elderly woman walk out of the Tainan District Court. These people are victims of the dioxin pollution caused by CPC's Ansun factory. After 7 years of litigation, the court has finally declared that MOEA and CPC should pay the victims about $5.25 million in compensation.
Finally, the judicial system has given us the justice we seek. Even though we may not all be satisfied with the compensation, we are comforted by the sentencing.
The factory leaked the poisonous dioxins into the surrounding area for years and even contaminated the fish that people ate. As much as 951 picograms of dioxins were detected in locals, which set a world record. The factory was first established by the Japanese in 1942. By 1980, due to the serious pollution the plant caused, it was ordered to seal the pentachlorophenol it produced. In 1982, the plant was ordered to shut down and merge with CPC. In 2005, the executive yuan decided to reimburse all affected residents by about $42 million.
We hope to quickly complete the pollution remediation caused by CPC so that residents can live in a safe and healthy environment.
Over the past 7 years, 38 of the affected residents had already passed on. Of the 312 that remain, each will receive anywhere from $12,000 to $150,000 roughly in compensation. The Victims Association will deliberate whether or not to accept the deal or file for an appeal later. Dong Cai is now 83 years old. Recalling her younger days at work, she still gets emotional.
I started working there when it was about 16 or 17. Look at how long it has been. I'm wheezing constantly now. Last night when I started wheezing again, my son said I might not sleep well again.
The grandma who suffers from asthma lives in Xiangong Borough of Tainan's Annan district, which is not far from the Thai alkali plant. This was why she went there to work in the first place.
We all started working when we were teenagers. In there, we breathe toxic fumes day in and day out, so now I have a tumor in my stomach. We didn't know anything back then. We just worked hard until suddenly we realized our throats had choked up.
Their grandma still feels nauseous recalling the smell. Actually, she was surrounded by sodium pentachlorophenol where she worked. The yellowish powder and the white crystalline form of the pentachlorophenol are both extremely toxic, and both are normally used as insecticide and wood preservatives. In order to support their families, most of the victims had little choice but to go to work in a plant wearing no protection. Now that their bodies are full of toxins, they only wish future generations won't have to suffer as they have. Taiwan's Environmental Protection Administration will begin enforcing laws regarding illegal contaminations of farmland. 6 types of heavy metals are on the agency's watch list. An enforcement program will start first with 69 businesses in 3 industrial parks throughout 3 counties. The agency hopes to contain such pollutions so that food safety can be ensured.
Wastewater containing heavy metals often end up polluting Taiwan's farmland. Thus, the Environmental Protection Administration is raising the standards on wastewater discharge and tightening the issuance of the permit so as to put a cap on the toxins being discharged.
In this way, the water will be safe enough for irrigation. We hope the EPA and local governments can work together to restrict the amount of heavy metals in wastewater.
These 6 types of heavy metals with a cap limit are copper, zinc, nickel, cadmium, total cadmium, and hexavalent chromium. The areas with a high level of contamination are Xinjiang Creek and Puxing Creek in Taoyuan, Dali Industrial Zone, and Zhanchuoyuan in Taichung, and Dongxi Ershan River in Zhanghua. In the first stage, 69 businesses and 3 industrial zones that perform electroplating, chemical, dyeing, and papermaking will be under watch. A cap limit is set in each area, which is divided into 2 zones.
If you have a new business in Level 1 zone, you are not allowed to discharge any of these heavy metals, or we won't issue a new business permit to you. If you are an existing business, you can still operate, but you aren't allowed to break any law.
If a business breaks the law, the most serious punishment is revoking the business license and all government permits. To control the wastewater discharge, the Environmental Protection Administration has raised the maximum fine for discharging wastewater from 18,000 to 600,000 on February 4th, so factories won't try to contaminate the nation's farmland.
The New Zealand Tzu Chi chapter held the first ever New Shoot Scholarship Award ceremony last December to help needy students in Auckland and Christchurch. Now, nearly a year later, volunteers have visited 9 schools to learn how the scholarship has benefited its recipients. We'll join the volunteers at the end of today's program. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.